Imagine this. It's late summer in Iowa. Cornfields stretch for miles, golden under the sun. Farmers have gone home for the night. But in one of those fields, a man in muddy boots isn't farming. He's digging up plants, pulling ears of hybrid seed corn from research plots and slipping them into bags. Not for food, and not for sale, but for espionage. Because these aren't ordinary ears of corn. They're hybrids, the product of years of research and millions of dollars in investment. Genetic gold, designed to resist drought, pests, and disease. And if they make it back to China, they'll give a state-linked agribusiness a shortcut past decades of work. This isn't a spy novel. It was an FBI case, and it played out not in Washington or Silicon Valley, but right here in America's heartland. Hey everybody, welcome to Midweek Sitrep, your bi-weekly briefing on what's happening in the world of national security. My name is Jerry Fowler, and I'm your host. Every other week, I give you the context you need to see what's really going on, so you can stay mission focused. Today, we're back on the farm. We're gonna build off episode 15 and talk about agriculture, espionage, bio threats, and food as a threat. So let's get into it. What do you think when you hear the word espionage? Maybe tuxedos and martinis, an envelope full of secrets hidden in a book, maybe a thumb drive taped to a park bench. But what about a cornfield? Now you may ask, why would you picture a cornfield? The answer is because food security is economic security. Agriculture has become one of the most valuable intelligence targets in the world. And that's because biotechnology is rewriting what crops can do. It's intellectual property that's worth billions. And American companies like Monsanto, DuPont Pioneer, and Syngenta have poured decades of research, billions of dollars, all into developing seeds that are drought-resistant, pest-resistant, higher yield, and nutritionally engineered. These aren't just better seeds. They're technological platforms coded at the genetic level that can make or break an entire food system. And just to be clear, this isn't just about what you plant in your backyard. These are industrial hybrids designed for resilience, yields, and global markets. The kind of technology entire countries depend upon. And the payoff is enormous. Whoever controls the genetics of corn, soy, wheat, and rice, the world's staple crops, controls the foundations of global agriculture. It means deciding what countries depend on your exports, what farmers can grow, and who owns the patents that future harvests rely on. That's why agricultural espionage has become such a focus for foreign actors, especially Chinese state-linked companies. Instead of spending decades and billions on research and development, why not just steal the technology outright? It's cheaper, it's faster, and it gives an instant competitive edge. And it's not just China. Other states, including Russia, have probed U.S. ag research. But China has been the most aggressive in the last decade, according to U.S. indictments. And this isn't just about fields. It's about universities. American land-grant colleges like Iowa State or Kansas State aren't just teaching farmers. They're running cutting-edge genetic labs that are increasingly targeted by visiting researchers with undeclared ties to foreign governments. This is the espionage most Americans never hear about. It's quiet, it's technical, it's muddy boots instead of trench coats. But it matters because it's a direct attack on the intellectual property backbone of America's food system. Time for a little story. In 2011, DuPont Pioneer noticed something strange. people were sneaking into their Iowa test fields at night, digging up ears of corn, and disappearing. The FBI launched an investigation. What they found was astonishing. A network tied to DBN Technology Group, a Chinese agribusiness, stealing hybrid seed corn and trying to smuggle it back to Beijing. The operation was almost comical. Agents watched suspects buy bags of seed at Walmart, raid test plots, and even hide samples in factory-sealed microwave popcorn boxes and restaurant napkins. But it was deadly serious. The stolen genetics were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. In 2016, a DBN executive pled guilty to conspiracy to steal trade secrets. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to forfeit 2 Iowa farms purchased with the proceeds. This wasn't just theft, it was strategy. A foreign company tried to leapfrog years of research with a shovel and a shipping box. And it shows you that espionage doesn't just target missiles or microchips. It targets the soil under our feet. Now, espionage isn't the only way foreign powers reach into America's food system. Another tool is ownership. In 2013, Shengwei International, a Chinese conglomerate, bought Smithfield Foods, the largest pork producer in the United States, for $4.7 billion in cash, about $7.1 billion when you include debt. Overnight, a foreign-owned company controlled a massive share of America's pork supply. Critics warned that it wasn't just an acquisition, it was a foothold. And Smithfield isn't the only example. According to the USDA data, as of 2022, foreign investors owned about 43 million acres of U.S. farmland, roughly 3.4% of all privately held agricultural land. Most of it is Canadian and European ownership, and China's share is less than 1% of the foreign-owned portion. Now, 3% may not sound like much, but that's nearly the size of Iowa. And here's the real issue. It's not just the land. It's processing plants, grain elevators, fertilizer suppliers, the choke points that move food from farm to table. Ownership doesn't give foreign companies absolute control over America's food supply, but it gives them influence. And in food, as well as other areas, influence is power. So why should you care? Because food is leverage. It's not just what fills your grocery cart. It's a tool of power. When shelves go empty, political pressure rises. When exports get cut off, allies grow desperate. And when foreign companies gain influence over the system, they gain a form of strategic leverage. The U.S. has long used food aid as diplomacy. Rivals understand this. And that's why espionage, ownership, and influence in agriculture are national security issues, not just farm policy. For everyday people, this isn't about what you plant in your backyard garden. It's about understanding that what happens in Iowa cornfields and North Carolina hog barns shapes America's strength on the global stage. And for businesses, it's about resilience. Supply chains, pricing, and policy all flow from the same reality. Food security is national security. Agriculture isn't just farming. It's espionage targets. It's foreign acquisitions. It's strategic leverage in the global balance of power. The cornfield showed us that spies don't just chase missiles or chips. They chase seeds. Smithfield deal, it showed us that foreign companies don't just buy land. They buy influence. And both point to the same lesson. If you control the food, you control the future. So after all of this, I'm sure everyone is thinking the same thing. That the next major Hollywood spy movie should be set in an Iowa cornfield. That's it for today's Midweek Sitrep. If this episode got you thinking, don't let the conversation stop here. Head over to the Insider Brief on Substack and subscribe. It's where we dig deeper, answer your questions, and preview what's next. We're also on YouTube, where you'll find short clips, interviews, and bonus content. Make sure to subscribe there if you haven't already. And if you want to support the show, go to everythingisnationalsecurity.com and check out our merch. Every shirt and hat helps keep Midweek Sitrep independent and growing. Subscribe, share, and stay sharp. I'm Jerry Fowler, and remember, everything is national security. See you next time. Midweek Sitrep with Jerry Fowler is an independent production of Opcent Media Group, LLC. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute legal, financial, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based upon the content discussed. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host, Jerry Fowler, and any guest, and do not reflect the official policy, position, or endorsement of any current or former employer, client, government agency, military organization, educational institution, or any other entity for which the host, Jerry Fowler, may be affiliated. Mention of a company, product, or service does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation. Any references are provided for informational purposes only. This podcast does not disclose any classified, proprietary, or confidential information. All discussions are based upon publicly available information and personal expertise. Everything's national security. Opcent Media Group, LLC.